virus got me, I was hoping I would be the majority who only get mild symptoms and recover quickly. My condition grew worse every day. I checked into this hospital last week, barely able to breathe. I paid a lot to get a private room, and I was lucky they managed to find one. No vacant rooms in the hospitals across the country as the pandemic wreaks horror. It's pandemonium out there, so many sick, so many dying. I feel like I've become nothing more than a statistic. I think I'm growing sicker. I feel faint and weak all the time. Yesterday, at night, they had to increase my oxygen intake. I heard them talking about having to put me under to intubate me if my condition deteriorated further. What if I don't make it? It'd be a horrible way to go, dying alone in this room. I was never a believer in God or in heaven or of any of those fairy tales. I wonder what happens to a person after they die. It's never really stopped to think about it until now. I guess I was too busy living my life and chasing shadows to think about death. I'm feeling weak, so weak. I think I'll sleep now. I can barely breathe. Goodness. Grim doesn't quite cover it, does it? Either way, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Hospital, which is a new game from Crux Game Studios, whom you might remember as being the folks behind I'm Up. How am I on my feet? I don't remember getting out of bed. Hint, walk around using WAS, look with the mouse to observe your surroundings by clicking on objects. The game saves automatically, and you do not need to save yourself. Thank you very much. I appreciate that you have taken the time to do my work for me, because I'm such a twit. So anyway, this is a game by Crux Game Studios, which you may remember as they of Funeral, Umbra Mortis, this room reminds me extremely of Umbra Mortis, and of The Babysitter, if I can even remember the name. The bathroom door appears to be locked. It's silent. I remember the doctor and nurses hooking me up to this thing. It's infernal, beeping, and the hiss of pumping oxygen. It's just one of those terrifying things in a hospital, all those machines, whose purpose you don't know. But yes, this is a slight difference from what they normally produce. Having previously produced 3 visual novels, they have now produced a more traditional first-person game. So I thought we would have a look. All the TV ever played was news about the pandemic, the daily death toll, and the crashing economy. I told the nurse to turn it off and take the remote away, watching TV as I whiled away those endless hours, struggling to breathe, and it made everything seem worse. So as much as we don't do visual novels on the channel anymore, there's someone out there. But it is a hospital. You know, I wouldn't really expect me to be the only person in it. Could be a doctor. I should find out what's going on. That sounds like a good idea. So yes, we don't really do visual novels on the channel anymore for reasons too complicated to get into, but as this seemed a bit of a different style, I thought we would have a look. Where is everybody? When I checked in here, these corridors were abuzz with activity day and night, nurses and doctors bustling around. Tiny announcements urgently paging doctors. I'm pretty sure tiny is spelt with one N, but never mind. Orderlies wheeling patients to different wings. It's deadly silent now. Unnerving. A door. It is locked. Strange, there's no signs. I could swear there were signs behind these doors. Cardiology, obstetrics, and radiology. Where does this door lead? The windows are opaque and I cannot see through them. Yeah, you're right. There ought to be some sort of direction to help people get about their business so that when dying horrifically they can at least die in the correct room. So yes, I believe this is set about the current situation, which is less than pleasant. Can I identify where my room is here? I haven't a baldies. I can't see anything which would mark the reception desk. As such, I'm going to give up, because we don't want to spend too long looking at the same thing. This is also locked. There's no room number. I'm pretty sure there were room numbers when I checked in. Well, that's budget cuts for you. The first thing to go are the signs. This is locked also. Well, this is the... Hang on a minute. This one isn't opaque. This is the way the doctor went. Presuming, of course, that she's not just some sort of random roaming Romeo. Okay. I was expecting that to work. There is definitely something going on. Or maybe it is opaque. Maybe this is a clipping issue of the wall. Perhaps I'm seeing things where none exist. Maybe the thing I should be seeing where none exist is possibly this thing being stuck to the wall. But never mind, never mind. This is obviously brand new. It is still subject to change. When I checked in here, struggling to breathe, there were 2 harried but kindly nurses sitting at the desk, answering calls, filing paper, and welcoming patients. I'm sure they had their hands very full. So I don't know how realistic. No luck. Okay, that's slightly confusing. The windows are dark and I cannot see through them. Didn't these doors open up to a lobby with elevators? They could be my way out, but I cannot leave this way. I should probably find another way out. Excuse me, madam. Perhaps a fellow patient. Or just perhaps some sort of sneaky person. Some sneaky, smelly person that doesn't seem to understand it's not Halloween. It's not even April Fool's. It's none of those irritating dates. The doors, they're ajar. And guess what? I've graduated from making absolutely horrible jokes about that word. The corridor stretches onwards. I figure I saw earlier... Oh, the figure I saw earlier must have gone through here, along with my ability to read the English language. Down the corridor and out of my life. So yes, I am fortunate enough to have almost no knowledge of the realities of the current situation. As such, I cannot comment on precisely how accurate or inaccurate this is. Hello. Are these patient wards? Why are they deserted? And all the doors are locked. There must be somebody who can help me and tell me what's going on. Yes, explain why all the fire extinguishers are just so short. Maybe there's some sort of special fallen fire extinguisher. Yes, come in. A knocking from the other side of the door. Now what did you need? Ugh. A room, just like the one I was in. Pardon the fact that I didn't, in the bed. It's in a state of disarray. That's certainly one word for it, and there is something on the bed. Again, that's one word for it. And frankly, I dread to think. The bathroom door appears to be locked. Ah, well then perhaps I can forgive them. If the bathroom door was locked, perhaps they were unable to assist themselves. Okay, I cannot scoot my way past here, so I suppose I must investigate this bit of the bed, and this bit of the bed, this bit of the bed, and that bit of the bed, and certainly no other parts. There's some sort of stain in the middle. I suppose it wasn't cleaned after the last patient. Oh, I see. They were a fan of watching The Ring. Hang on a minute. That figure. The door is opening. The sound has come from there. Yes, quite, indeed. I am a little confused, though, because and this is the tiniest detail in the history of the universe, but didn't the entire screen, including the bezels, turn into static? Shouldn't it just have been this internal square that's actually screen? Am I being very, what's the word, pedantic? Something along those lines? Yes, I certainly am. I saw something on that TV, a silhouetted figure. It reminded me of... No, can't be. I must be imagining things. Maybe that's what this whole thing is. Some lucid dream I'm having while staying in bed. Perhaps I'm in a coma. Yes, well, if we were in a coma and this was all under my control, then I think there would be more audios. Every door, same story. Where has everyone gone? I don't know, maybe everything's better now and everyone's gone on a very well-deserved holiday. Maybe that's the situation. It's not the situation. Of course it's not the situation. So I was very interested because this Umbra Mortis and Funeral were very based on storytelling, and the babysitter was their experiment, I suppose, for want of a better word, at exploring doing a very spooky narrative, and this one was also described as being horror related, so I was very curious to see how they pulled it off. I'm sorry. I know that I'm not exactly the next of kin, but I have a right to stare at the dead bodies as much as anybody else. By that I mean I have no right whatsoever, so perhaps it's only natural. Is someone toying with me? Am I being led? That figure I saw. Hi again. Hi again. A little, It's an interesting sort of juxtaposition here. This dream, nightmare rather, in which I'm trapped. How can it be her? So perhaps she's someone from my past? Possibly that's the situation? It is a little odd though, because she's constantly appearing and she isn't exactly hidden, which would imply that she's just meant to be leading me on. Not massively scary. Okay, perhaps I should reevaluate my previous statement. So from the fact that she's not particularly hidden, you'd imagine that she wouldn't be that scary, but at the same time they're doing jump scary noises. Sorry, I don't mean to be dissecting this game quite as much as I am. I just hold Crux Game Studios in extremely high regard. What? How did I get here? I recognise this place. You're familiar with this place? You've been here before? Goodness, your Friday nights must be a lot more wild than mine. The furniture, the way it's arranged, the look like this apartment where I used to live. Everything looks abandoned, gone to rot. There is something under the table. Wait. Didn't even get the opportunity. Hi. Not the opportunity, that's not what I meant. I meant the, it can't be. It can't be her. I can't see her face, but I know her anywhere. How is this possible? She's been dead for years. Nina, is that you, or this isn't real, I'm dreaming? Oh, I didn't realise we've got any choice. Okay, I don't know who, Nia is, but is it you? The characteristic... Oh, that characteristic silence. I thought you said the characteristic is silence. Sorry, like I've said previously, I can't read. This cannot be happening. This is just some monstrous dream that I must waken from. Memories of these horrific events of 4 years ago are all flooding back. The doubt and the guilt that have haunted me since. I could have saved her life had I done things differently. At what cost? I couldn't have saved you, or I'm sorry. Please don't bite my face off. Only a cold silence. What does she want? Judging from that, she probably wants a coat. It's a bit chilly in here. Did that really just happen? Or am I going crazy? Is this some sort of fever dream? Seeded by my past while my body lies wasting away in a hospital bed. She used to live in this quite literal dump. Okay. Oh, a picture. A picture of a nice lady. I'm going to say that she's nice in the sincere hope that she doesn't try to murder me again. Okay, I don't think there's a body under here. There might be a body, or just part of a body. Or maybe it's just a kink in the rug. I don't know. Can hardly blame it for having a kink. Right. The furniture, the couch, the tables, all props from the past I'd much rather forget. If this is a dream, how does it all feel so real? I can smell the rot. It's a vile scent. None of this makes sense. This apartment is where she and I lived together before everything went to hell. I would sincerely hope that at least in hell they have maintenance people that can do stuff. Ugh. I think we actually might already be in hell from this hellish wallpaper. It's shut tight. Right, okay then. Perhaps I should stop running away and remain equally scared of the void we have over here. I remember this picture. We had it taken out by the quay. I haven't a clue what that is. Is that the name of a river or something? Just after yet another bitter fight. She was just 24, but by then she had already begun to show an increasingly frightening signs of the mental illness that would later consume her. Erratic, violent shifts in temperament, brooding silences, fixed stares, an obsession with my whereabouts, and self-harm. I tried to get her help, but she refused. When it was clear she was becoming a danger to both of us, I had to end the relationship. And then it got worse, a lot worse. The phone calls, the stalking, the threats. And finally, I woke up one night to find her standing over my bed, staring at me, her dark eyes empty and unreadable, her mouth stretched into a chilling grin. When I saw what she was holding in her hand... You realised that she changed her mind completely and had brought you a homemade cookie? Please tell me that she had brought a homemade cookie and not a knife. Well, this place has gone downhill, hasn't it? Thought hospitals were supposed to be cleanly. Ugh. But, perhaps not. Perhaps they got very inspired by the hospital and Outlast. Perhaps they got very impressed. Okay. Onward we soldier, in the sincere hope of not being murdered. Hello. Hello. A dead body, abandoned in the corridor. The stench is cloying. I should move on. I can think of no feet jokes, and thus I must move on. Humorless. As we've been doing for about 9 months. It doesn't budge. That isn't good. Because that means I have to pass by this perfectly pleasant person again. She is doing this, and I don't know how. She's toying with me. Must find a way out of this nightmare. Oh, now it's open, yes. I had a funny feeling you were going to do something, but you did it before I had the opportunity to say it, and now I have no credibility left. Because my credibility wasn't being damaged by the fact that I can't open a door. Ugh. This is not pleasant. Now, is that something moving on its runners, or was that somebody sharpening a knife? Did you hear that? I heard a giggle, and I don't think it was an intertemporal giggle of my audience. Mainly because intertemporal audio transfers aren't a thing, and secondly because nobody in their right mind would laugh at one of my videos. Oh well. I get yes. A little variety in that sound would be pleasing. On that night 4 years ago, when I awoke to find her standing over me, she was holding a knife. As I watched, she raised it and held it to her own throat, and she said, "I don't want to live without you." Before she could hurt herself, I leaped at her, grappled the blade away, and subdued her until the authorities arrived. They put her in an institute, a mental hospital. A week later, I got that terrible call. Goodness. Maybe there's 2 reasons we shouldn't be laughing. Yep. I had a funny feeling. Why did you do it? Why did you have to go like this? They told me you'd written a note before you left. Your last words. Gideon. Someone's a fan of the Joker's sense of humor. What do you want from me? I did what I could. Why are you tormenting me? So, is it her ghost? Is her ghost chasing me in my fleeting hour? What do you want from me? You think that note you left, the last words you ever wrote? Oh, we're going with this. I'm never going to let you go. I know those words were meant for me. Is that what this is about? That if I had done things differently, perhaps been more compassionate, you might still be alive. Is it over? I'm not back in bed, which is a good thing and also a bad thing. How did I get here? Oh, well, at least it's a nice clean bed. If nothing else, I can be grateful of that. The bed I was lying on, fighting for my life. Am I well? Am I well, or am I still trapped in this nightmare? It is still locked. Anything cheerful? Maybe a nice cartoon. Oh, it doesn't. You can't even interact with it now. We can't even watch a nice cartoon about a nice French mouse or something. I don't know. Dare I go out there? What will I find? A bustling hospital, smiling faces telling me I'm better, can go home, shadowy halls that are haunted by my past. Am I in a coma, trapped in a body wasting away while I suffer a fever dream born of guilt? Or am I dead? Is this my afterlife? These dreaded halls, or tormented souls stalking me for eternity? Madam, please. I'm trying to do something vaguely serious here, and you're not helping with your lightening of the mood. But to lighten the mood a little bit from that very, very dark, unpleasant, and occasionally icky situation, that was absolutely fantastic. That was a very, very nice blending of the first-person horror mechanics and the visual novel mechanics. That worked very, very effectively indeed. I don't know if the choices that I had when I was in that apartment, whether saying anything different to her might have had possible effects, whether that might have caused her to treat me differently, but she didn't seem very pleased with me, and I tried to say nice things rather than meanie-face things, and it didn't really seem to improve her disposition towards me. So this was actually really good. You could argue that the scares were a little tiny bit primitive. Perhaps if she'd been kept in the shadows a little bit more, if there'd been a little bit of variety in the jump scare sounds, then perhaps that would be a little bit more effective. But understandably, this is coming from a studio that works with still images and story and works with them extremely well. So naturally, as this is their first foray into that, there is going to be some slight teething troubles. But for what this is, which is a very impressive blending of visual novels and first-person horror, it's very, very effective. The story is fantastic. As I said, I have gladly very, very, very little understanding of the reality of the situation within hospitals, but after watching that, or playing that even, I feel as if I have very much learned the situation, and that's often a good hallmark of an excellent story, is when although you haven't been to a place or experienced a thing, if the story can make you feel like in a small way you almost have experienced it, that's a very effective story you've got there, and this certainly is that. This was extremely impressive, and it's very nice to see Crux Game Studios are innovating as well. They're not just doing the same thing over and over again, they are changing things up, they are advancing, they're doing more, and they are exploring. So this was extremely impressive. I am also very glad to see that Crux Games is still working, because they are one of my favourite indie developers, because they really do the horror and the storytelling extremely effectively. But anyway, that's enough of me droning on aimlessly. That was The Hospital. That was extremely impressive. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for joining me this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Look after each other, and good night.